There's overly passive people that are being taken advantage of all through history by unscrupulous masters, bosses, employers. That's why we came up with a federal minimum wage. And there's not one valid excuse for why they weren't giving commensurate cost of living adjustments decade after decade after decade after decade after decade. And more, almost another decade. Well over half a century now. There's not one valid excuse for that. It's not incompetence or stupidity. It's collusion with the top politicians and the money printing class against the best interests of the American people at large. That's what it is. It's theft of the wealth of the nation, and the nation is comprised of the people of the nation. Primarily the willing workforce, because nothing gets done without it. You could sit on a mountain of capital, but if you don't have a willing workforce, you're getting bupkis done. Conversely, when you have a willing workforce, anything and everything can get done. We have a godly nature. We must serve. That's a fact. Prove me wrong. Think of your own job. You know wild horses could pull you away from it. Nothing's going to stop you, hell or high water. I want my job. I got a good job. It's lucrative. And I'm getting ahead. Can't worry about everybody else, right? People love their jobs. Money. We love money. We're all money lovers. We all need to confess it. We're all basically the same. We have one whole hell of a lot more in common than out of common. But you understand what I'm saying. Listen, minimum wage, when it was $1 an hour, today it could be 50 cents an hour, but have greater buying power. That's what should have happened. Do you understand? And if you look at the VCR, it'll explain what I'm trying to tell you. It's all about true capitalism. It's all about supply and demand and making progress on that front. In other words, it gets easier and easier and easier to produce all the things we want, and housing is no exception because of state-of-the-art tools, equipment, implements, etc., etc. Do you understand? You know how many man hours it used to take 100 years ago to build a house as compared to today? But yet look what we're paying. How much more? What percentage of our incomes are people paying for their housing costs on average? You call that progress? You call that capitalism? No. That's anti-capitalism. That's certainly not supply and demand capitalism, which is the only kind of capitalism I believe in. At free market, we say we got capitalism. In 2008, we bail out the criminals, in my estimation, that cause these problems. But it's perfectly legal to live outside the bounds of normal decency. The golden rule, treating others the way you want to be treated. The only two commandments Jesus gave us, treat others the way you want to be treated. I mean, love others the way you love yourself. And I have loved you and proven to you. Care. Really give a damn. Really care. So is that what people are showing each other with that kind of capitalism? That's not capitalism. No, it isn't. Free market? Free market? These are criminals. That's what I'm saying. They're criminals, and they should be in ethics rehabilitation centers. I mean, I always say I'm the best friend of my worst enemy because I don't want anything bad to happen to them. I'm not violent. I'm no threat to anybody. I would put you in an ethics rehabilitation centers, whether it's open door or not. I mean, we could discuss that. But you got to get it through your head why what you did was unacceptable. That's what these top politicians, the senators, the Congress, the executive, often the executive like Obama, the people at the Federal Reserve issuing money, printing money, and the Labor Department, the heads of the Labor Department. You get them, they'd all be the first ones I'd put in these ethics rehabilitation centers for correction. I'd say, look, I'm going to explain to you, and you listen, I'm going to make sure I'm convinced that you're not deceiving me when you really get why you can never do this again. You can never behave like this again. It's unfair. Do you understand? We're trying to play a game here. Okay, and it's got to be fair. People got to feel like they're getting a fair shake. Otherwise, they're going to be disgruntled and unhappy. Okay, and if they're unhappy, I'm going to be unhappy because I'm working for them. You need no other reason to understand than that. All these government officials, like city, county, state, federal government, they're supposed to be working for we the people, our interests. So if it's in our interest not to have homelessness, I have to remind the public constantly that these homeless, these desperately poor people, they are not criminals. Get that through your heads. My God, anybody, you turn your nose up at these people, you're going to stand before your owner someday, God Almighty, Jesus Christ. You're going to give account for your belief systems. You're going to tell, when he said, whatsoever you do or fail to do for the least of these, you do or fail to do for me. You're going to look down on them. You're looking down on Jesus. What's he going to do to you? What's he going to do to you? He's going to look down on you. And you're not going to go to a pleasant place. If you're not treating other people, all other people, without exclusion, as your own flesh and blood child, you are not doing God's will. Okay? That is simple as that. That's the way we need to see things through God's eyes. And he sees us all as equally beloved children. I don't care who you are. Like the prodigal son, he went and he spent his inheritance in debauchery and all this. He didn't feel worthy to even go home. He expected his dad, get the hell out of here. You go fend for yourself, son. But, but instead, his father was so happy that he came back. And this is how it is with God. I mean, I don't know. I don't get that kind of love. It's hard for humans, mere mortals, to understand that love. That's why we're always striving to understand God's goodness and love more, because it's a beautiful thing. And it helps lift us to understand some of the loftier things, the stuff I'm trying to convey to people. I mean, why do we have such effed up behavior? Why so much escapist behavior? All the drug addiction, all the vices, trying to run away from stuff, reality, okay? Trying to anesthetize ourselves. People slashing their wrists, metaphorically speaking, or literally sometimes. So what's bugging people? Well, I don't believe it's the organic stuff, because that's across the board. We all have to deal with that. I mean, it's not beyond the realm of comprehension to say it's possible. Somebody might say, hey, the sun's too bright, I'm going to kill myself, I can't stand it. It bugs me that much. Or too hot, I'm going to kill myself because I can't stand the heat. Too cold, I'm killing myself. I could see maybe diseases, I guess, when you're suffering from some terminal illness, some people want to kill themselves, and that's organic. But suicide, I guess you could say. But the stuff that really bugs us, my friends, is inorganic. It is artificial. It is invented. It is created. It's tyranny. It's theft. It's oppression. It's subjugation. It's enslavement. That's what we've had. When you see what I'm telling you, I mean, it's science. Okay, these people have trained us all to accept this division. Like there's no problems. Think there's solutions to everything. It's as simple as that. Like they try to tell us, well, no, you just have to bicker among yourselves locally in your local community and, hash it out there and, blame the mayor or blame the supervisors or the city council or, right. I mean, that's our only recourse is to complain publicly at one of these meetings. I'm not doing it. I'm never at these meetings because I'm telling you, here I am. I'm before the public. I'm telling you who to blame. Who needs ethics rehab? And I don't believe in the prison system. Look at the recidivism rates alone. Doesn't work. I mean, but could you understand this? The greatest aspect of negativity, artificial negativity they've invented, they must keep intact. Okay, in order to continue on this trajectory they're taking us to death and destruction, ever-growing wealth imbalance, greater and greater desperate poverty, okay, the third world, fourth world status, whatever these psychos have in their mind. Death, I mean, it is the Georgia Guidestones. They want to get rid of well over 90% of us, so they really don't care if masses of people start dying out in the cold. Okay, they don't care. But if these people were criminals, they got desperate and they said, I'm committing a crime. At least I know in jail I'll get 3 hots and a cot, health care, at a cost of what, $100,000 a year in California? And yet we're going to look down on these people. And it's like blaming minimum wage workers for inflation. When they've been cheated for well over half a century out of commensurate cost of living adjustment, of which there's no justification for that. I mean, there's no differences if you just had given them pay decreases over the years, and the cost of living had remained steady It's the same effect, absolutely. Mathematically speaking, it's absolutely the same effect. Same figures. I mean, these are the most highly educated people, too, right? University degrees and all that kind of crap that have done this. So they cannot say, claim stupidity or incompetence. These people know exactly what they're doing. They've engineered it. Okay, that's something we all have to get through our heads, is that that's what they've done. And they know eventually everybody's going to say, guys like me aren't crazy. I get it, and I want you to get it and be empowered. Don't shrink away from that truth. Face it, as difficult as it is, get over it. And go help somebody else to get over it. But, you got something to tell them. And I'm going to explain this, explain it to them very clearly what's going on here. Okay, this is theft. That sticks in all our craws, okay? It can't not. We have a yearning to be free, especially Americans. And we're going the opposite direction. That's financial subjugation. It's enslavement. It's the same old story. They just a whole nother method. They had to be really tricky to get this far. If they tried to do this in short order, the people would have revolted. No way, we're not going for it. The object is to enslave the masses, the majority, the bulk, to the point of letting people die out in the cold, literally, because they don't care anymore. There's no supply and demand. They could get rid of half the population and make demand go through the floor, and still the prices could go up. Okay? Supply of vacant housing could triple in America, and homelessness could increase at the same time. You say, well, how does that work? That's what I'm trying to say. You see the perils, the dangers of tolerating this, of being stupid and just saying, well, I don't get it. I can't understand. It is not beyond your ability to understand this stuff. Not at all. Okay, we're being duped mightily, taken. And we've all got to get it. And even if you yourself are well-heeled financially and you're not worried, you're financially secure and you feel financially free, do it for somebody else. You say you're a Christian, you say you're a godly human being, a decent human being. You got to put your money where your mouth is. Prove it. Walk the talk. Okay, and you better care about others that aren't as strong as you, aren't as capable, smart, assertive, whatever that quality you think you possess. Okay, but it's a lot more than, just say, well, everybody else is defective and I'm just great, and exalt yourself. I mean, is that what is going to hold water when you stand before God on Judgment Day? Is that really who you want to be? I mean, we got to work together here. We got to unite against these monsters. I mean, good Republicans and good Democrats, good conservatives, good liberals, good socialists and good capitalists. We all need to come against these people like a flood. And they're not going to be able to stop it. It's with the power of God, because God says, one thing you can't be is a coward. We have to be courageous. All of us as individuals and collectively willing to die for the cause. Say the future generation is looking at us. They're counting on us. We've got an obligation, a duty. They're being born into debt. A debt that keeps increasing by trillions. Do you understand who's paying for that debt? They're raising our cost of living. They're debasing the money. It's like watering it down. That's how they're sustaining it. That's how we're creating more and more multi-billionaires every day, and yet simultaneously creating more and more impoverished people. A greater and greater need for a social welfare safety net, right? So we'll throw them crumbs, all those defective, weak people, weak links in the chain. Blame them. Blame those greedy minimum wage workers for inflation. And blame all those welfare cheaters and moochers and recipients out there. Blame them for that $50 billion a year that goes into housing subsidies. They can't cut the mustard. They can't crack the nut. They can't reach the bar. They're weak. They're feeble. This is social Darwinism, don't you know? Okay, so get with the program. Just go die. Please do the earth a favor, right? So they're ready for everybody to understand. So now they got this climate change nonsense. But Jeff Bezos just gave billions to, and the mainstream media is just like, exactly, where's that going? How can I tap into that? I'll do something for the ecology. Yeah, I can innovate. I'm a smart guy. I'm a problem solver. I'm a thinker. Right? Everybody can attest to that, has ever listened to any of my videos. So how do I tap into $10 billion? That's a lot of bread, my friends. So how do I tap into that as an inventor, as an innovator, as a designer, as a thinker, problem solver? I wonder. But the mainstream media won't elaborate. They're just going to vaunt Jeff Bezos as, wow, savior of the earth. He's giving it to climate change. Exactly who is getting that money? But the mainstream media thinks the public, well, you shouldn't care about it. You should be disinterested in that. We're not going to talk about that. Come on, hey, who cares about who's getting that money and how to tap into some of that yourself, maybe. Say, yeah, okay, I'm going to start a new career. I'm going to find, biodegradable plastic bags that the worms will eat and the fish can eat, and it's nutritious, and later we can eat it after it's been recycled by nature. And bags that aren't colored so that they blend in and so you can't even see them, right? I mean, if they're going to end up in the oceans and in landfills, right? So, I mean, there's solutions to all our problems, my friends. So you could think of solutions to all our artificially invented problems. If you care, if you don't have any motivation, any incentive, if, like I said, you're financially secure, it's easy to fall into